Hi guys, it's Mr. Block once again, and today we're going to learn to use Illustrator a little bit more. What we're going to do is get right into a project. When I was first learning to use Illustrator, that's exactly what I did. I just got right in there and started creating stuff. So today we're going to start by creating a Star Wars lightsaber. Alright, and so some of the things that you'll be exposed to by the end of this tutorial will be some of the most commonly used tools in Illustrator, such as the keyboard shortcuts, the shape tools like the rectangle tool, the rounded rectangle tool, the ellipse tool, the Pathfinder panel, the stroke panel, the shape builder tool, and finally the fill and stroke color panels. That being said, let's get right into it. So the very first thing we need to do is click on File, go down to New, and for this project we're going to select Print, and we want the letter size document here, and let's choose inches from this the sizing drop-down menu. Click on Inches. That changes your sizing here to inches there, and let's give it a good name. For this one I'm going to select, let's do Lightsaber. Do this block lightsaber. Oops, that's not how you spell mine. There you go. Okay, and we have everything else set appropriately. We will then click on Create. Now, as you can see, it shows 8.5 by 11. We can't tell, our rulers are not on, so pressing Control and Control and the letter R will give you your rulers. There's 8.5 by 11, right? But for this part of the project, actually for this project in general, we can turn the artboard off. So to do that, go ahead and press Control and then Shift and the letter H. And that should turn off your artboards. Okay? So now let's go ahead and begin to create. So on the left-hand side, you should have your toolbar, and so this tool right here is called the Rectangle tool. Notice there's a little white arrow, as there are little white arrows on lots of the little buttons here, and so that simply means that there are tools that are hidden within that button. So all you have to do is click and hold, and you can see all of the selections that you can make. Now, but for this, before we make a selection, what I'd like you to do is, oh, that's a mistake, sorry. Click and hold. Don't let go of the left click yet. Slide your mouse over and let go of the click right here. And what that does, it allows you to have the panel out on your artboard. So all you have to do is click and select which shape you want to get, instead of having to go here and go down the list. Okay, it's just makes it a little bit easier. So with that, let's go ahead and create our first shape. So get the rectangle tool. Okay, click on your artboard, and what I'd like you to do is go ahead and make a 1.5 by, go ahead and move to the next, the height, so the width in 1.5 inch, the height should be 9 inches for the height, and then click OK. Okay, now what we need to do is make the next shape, which is going to be a rounded rectangle. So grab your rounded rectangle, let's click once, and you just need to make a 3 by 3 by 1 inch and click OK. Now, your upper left corner, this black arrow is called the selection tool. The white arrow is a direct selection tool. So the difference between the two, it's very simple. The selection tool will allow you to select and move the entire object that you've got. The white selection tool is called direct selection, which means that if you click, it can still grab everything, but you can also drag from outside and grab one, or drag from outside and grab multiple nodes at a time, right? So let me back that up a little bit. If I wanted to just select this one here and move that around, I could. But there's another reason that you would do that. When you have the direct selection tool, I'm getting a little bit off topic, but I just want to teach you a little bit about the tool that I'm using. When you click an object, you see these little circles that appear with the dots in the middle. These are very useful. They're on every corner here, just about. It's on every corner. If I click and drag on that, I will reshape the corners, just like that. Or I click and drag down, then let go. I can make a full circle. I'm going to Control Z to back up and get what I had. Okay. Now for this one, it does the same thing, right? But now what if I want just this one, this corner right here, rounded? All you have to do is this. Select with your direct selection, click and drag, and then you can do that. All right, so just something to, it's very, very good to know. All right, now when I take this, the next step is to click and drag until it locks onto the left-hand side of this object right here. So click and drag and locks on. And you probably, let me move it back over here. So just about that high. You don't want it down here or up like this. Have it just about centered, maybe a little bit less, like that. Alright? If you want to make sure that they are aligned on the left-hand side, you can click on your alignment. And here over here, make sure that it says align to selection and click horizontal align left. And you'll make sure that they are right up against the same edge, okay? Now, here's the next panel that we need to bring out. Open up our Pathfinder. And you'll see it opens up over here, right? If I keep clicking the panels on my right-hand side, it closes the panel that I had previously. Well, that doesn't help me very much, right? So what you want to do is we want Pathfinder out just like this panel is out. Click on the panel on the top, I'm sorry, the tab, I should say, at the top, and drag it out and let go. Now you can close this, and you are left with this panel, right? That's how you do that from now on. If you wanted, you could do your layers panel in the same way, right? Or you can also put it back. Alright, so but what we want to do, we want to select both objects. If you simply click on them, you only get one object. So click outside of the objects, click and drag, just this much. You don't have to grab the whole thing. With the black selection tool, you're doing that. If I had the direct selection tool, I would only grab the nodes in this area, and I don't want to do that. So get your selection tool, click and drag, come over to your Pathfinder, the upper row here, and go to the one on the second from the left, which is called minus front. Let's click that. Ready? Good. See what happens? It actually cut that out. Let me show you something here. If you have this object in the back, for instance, if I were to right click and arrange, send to back, you'll notice now it's behind here. If yours are set up like that and you click minus front, that's what you will see. This is the result. You need to make sure that the object that you want to cut out or use as a template for the cut is in front. Okay, so click and drag, minus front. Next step. What we need to do now is draw a small rectangle and place it centered near the top of the tall rectangle. So let's just grab our rectangle tool. And now this one's going to start a little bit outside. Don't start right on the path. I'd like you to start a little bit outside and come to a little bit outside on that side as well. Alright. The next step, now what I'd like you to do is we want to, this is your alignment panel right here. I want you to drag that out as well. Let's pull that underneath Pathfinder. Alright. Just, lock it right on there. That's fine. Now click and drag around these two items, and we will click horizontal align center. Just to make sure, if you happen to draw this and it's like way off, like it's out there, click and drag around the two objects, click horizontal align center. It puts the alignment together, okay? If you'd like, you may group those, but I'd rather you not. Let's leave them alone. Okay, the next step is to draw a small circle and place that below the small rectangle. So let's get your ellipse tool up here. What I'm going to do is come to the center, click. Now press, while you're clicking, don't let go yet. Press Alt, and you'll notice that you can start to drag out from the center. Now at the same time, you're going to also press Shift. So you're pressing Shift, Alt, and it's a click and drag. Shift and Alt, click and drag. Okay, so the Shift key, it constrains the width and height of the object, keeps it in a perfect circle. All right. Next, what we need to do is draw a small, thin rectangle. Come up here and click on that. Draw a small, thin rectangle, just like that. Now I'm going to align everything centered again as well, because I just drew that in. I just plopped that right down. Let's make sure that it's... So we've got our alignment tool here, but you also have it up at the top, notice. This is called a context menu. If you just simply click on any of your tools, you notice that it should change at the top here with, for instance, if I take my text tool, I now have the ability to change all of the text options and features and all of that. So select all of them and then you have your alignments here. I like to have it out, the panel out here as well, just to have these extra options down here. But what we need to do is click on horizontal align center. There we go. Then I want you to click on this newest addition, and then I'd like you to duplicate and move it. And we're going to do that in one step. Press and hold on your keyboard, Control, Shift, Alt, that's with your left hand, with your right hand. Hover your right hand over the arrow keys. You ready? We're going to press the down arrow twice. Actually, just once. Okay? Now, let go with your left hand and press on just the Shift key and press the down arrow again. Alright, now once again, we're going to duplicate that by pressing Control, Shift, and Alt, and down arrow. Alright, and then let go again with your left hand and press just the Shift key and down arrow. Alright, there we go. We just duplicated twice that rectangle. Okay, so the next one we're going to do is add a tall ellipse right in the center. This is going to be the grip. Okay, this is what their hand is going to be holding on this thing here. But now I drew it, but you notice it's not centered at all. So it's actually way off center. Click and drag around everything. Let's just give it a center on that. Okay, center it up. You know what? I'm going to bring this up about to here. For this one, what we need to do is get the rectangle tool and click once on the page, make it a width of 0.25 inches, that is a quarter inch, a height of 1 inch, and then click OK. That gives you a little square, like a little rectangle like this. Place one right here and align it to the center on that path. Then what I want you to do is press Control, do a Control Alt Shift, and then a click. And I want you to click on that, drag it straight across. That'll give you a duplicate. Now I want you to Control Alt Shift and drag it to the middle. Now we want this to be above here, so maybe about the same distance away as we have it from the top here, just like that. Okay. Now the last step on this part is we need a little, actually let's get the rounded rectangle. Go ahead and click on that, make it 1 inch wide, a height of, let's see, a 0.25, and then a corner radius of 0.25. Click OK. Made like a little pill, basically. You know what? That width is not going to be good enough. So what I'd like you to do is simply zoom in, press Alt on your keyboard, and then roll your mouse wheel, if you have one, forward. Okay. Now what I want you to do here, we're going to do it simultaneously by pulling this thing apart, essentially, making it wider by clicking and dragging, and then press your Alt key and hold while you're clicking and dragging. And don't go all the way to the end. I want you to go just about to here. Alright. We are almost done. What we need to do now is grab the rectangle tool. We're going to start to use the Pathfinder. So if you don't see your Pathfinder tool out already, make sure you have it. It's in Window and then Pathfinder. And here it is. So just come above the oval, that middle oval there, just off to the left, and come down and drag the line to about where the lines meet the shaft of the lightsaber. Okay? See what I'm saying? Let me move that out here. Drop it about to there where that meets the straight line. Okay, now click and drag and press your Alt key and drag it down to make a duplicate at the same position on the other one. Alright. Now, click, press your Shift key on your keyboard, click the next, the oval, and then click on the top rectangle. Since these two were the last objects that we made, those appear on to the front. They're above they're on a layer above this right now. They're actually on the same layer, but they're on a plane above this oval. So we could use this minus front and do that, and it cuts those two out. All right. Now I'm going to actually take these guys and position these about here, just because, and we can adjust all of this later. Okay, next step, let's go ahead and grab the Shape Builder tool. And so before we do that, what I'd like you to do is select everything by clicking and dragging around it all, or if you press Control and A on your keyboard, that will give you a select all. So what I want you to do is come over to the down to the fill and the stroke panels over here, the selection area. Choose the fill. If your stroke looks like this, that means your stroke is selected. Choose the fill. You'll notice that it's set with a white. It's got a white fill. With the fill selected, click on this button down here called None with the square and the red diagonal line. Click None. That changes the fill to 0 transparency, basically. It's full transparency. There's nothing there. If you click on it, you see I can't click on it now. I can only click if I touch the stroke, because that is where the fill or the color is. There's no color in here, so it's not letting me click on anything unless I click around stuff. Alright, now we're going to get the Shape Builder tool over here that kind of looks like BB-8 on his side. Go ahead and click on that, and this is the coolest thing. Go ahead and do a Control A, select all. You'll notice now it highlights things as you roll over stuff, right? Well, it does that for a purpose. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Press Alt and roll your mouse wheel forward. So you'll see now, if I click and drag a line all the way across, everything that line touches will now connect into a single shape. If I grab my selection tool, you will see it broke that stuff apart. These are separate shapes now, okay? And that's going to be useful if we want to do different things with these different areas. So let's grab our Shape Builder again, come back in, Control A, and let's select those, right? Now, by the way, the way that I'm moving my artboard up and down is by I'm not pressing my keyboard, just rolling the mouse wheel. If you wanted, you can press your, the space bar, turning your cursor into a hand, which allows you to click and move your artboard around. That's not moving your objects on the artboard. That's moving the whole artboard. Okay. So now click and drag. Let's see, click and drag. This is the interesting one. We'll just go click and drag so that it looks like that. Alright, now we're just about done with that portion here. All we need to do is start coloring stuff. Awesome. Let's grab, now the way that I would like to do this, I like to grab all the things that are one color and just make it that color. Let's go up to the swatches. If you don't see your swatches, go to Window. Where is it? Swatches. And we'll just have that out here. So I want to make the grip black. We'll make this strip, the grip and the strip, and these little doohickeys down here. No, let's make sure you're grabbing the right thing. There's that. Let's just do it separately. There's that. Now this, you'll notice, if I simply move it aside, that's not the thing I wanted to grab. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of those, click and drag all of those, press Shift, and click on the line right here, click right there, to deselect that particular object. Now I've got all those three, and I can just click on black, bam, and there you go. So I'm going to also grab the, I'll do that here, here, and here. Let's grab this, let's grab that, and we're kind of grabby here, so and then we'll click on black. Last, oh wait, let's do the base cap here. I'm going to make that gray. It's not, I'll make that like a lighter gray. There we go. Okay. Now we still have our outlines on, so you see everything's got this black outline on it. You can't see that on the black because it's black and black. You won't see the outline. Let's change the color of this dude to a red. That's our start button. That's how we get our lightsaber started, right? Then we need to make a metallic kind of color that goes all across this piece, here, and here. So we're going to do that by, let's start with this one. And what I'd like you to do is go and click on Gradient tool, double click. That opens the gradient panel. All right. So then I would like you to click on the now once again, make sure that the stroke is not what's selected. Make sure that the fill is selected. If you can actually apply a gradient to a stroke. Okay? We don't want to do that here though. Okay. In other projects you may want to do that. Okay. So go ahead and click on this area, the gradient tool, and you'll notice it gives you this little line right here. That's really cool because with this gradient tool you can actually click and drag. You can make the gradient do all sorts of cool things, right? And then you can also click on it and move it around and have it be somewhere else. You can stretch it from this side and have it be a different shape. You can come just outside, just to here, and rotate it. Okay, so let me back up a couple of steps. Back. I am pressing Control Z to go back. There we go. So I'll click once. So now we have just the standard white to black. And I am going to add one more. These are called color stops or gradient stops. All right, I'm going to add one more stop right here. And I want this one to be white. So just double click on that little color stop and drag this slider all the way over to 0. So everything is 0, 0, 0, 0. And then click off of that. Next I want to take this one, double click, and let's move that to about mid-range gray. Let go. That is looking kind of cool. Alright, I don't think I like it fully black on that side there, so I'm actually going to check this out. When you come to any position on the gradient bar, if I just click right here, it's going to give me that shade of gray. If I click here, that's the shade of gray right in that horizontal line. I don't want that one, so I'm going to click and drag and pull that off. If I click and drag, I can pull that black off and then slide this one all the way over. You'll notice, I don't know if you noticed that, it's changing here as I'm moving this over. So you move that over, you see how it changed? And then I pull that over, okay? That's looking pretty cool, I like it. Now, but here's the thing, when you look at metal, in general, when you look at metal, do you, in real life, do you ever see an outline? I never do. So what I'd like you to do is do a control. Well, actually, we're gonna get rid of that. But before you do that, let's click and drag on this guy. Press Shift on your keyboard, click and drag around that one as well. So now we just have this piece and that piece. And then go ahead and click on this right now, and you'll get the same gradient. If it didn't work, if for some reason this went back to a different shade or whatever, you could grab your eyedropper tool and then click on that, and you'll still get that. Okay. So we're almost done, but as I was saying, boy, does that look like an illustration, right? So let's press Control A to select all, and then now I want you to click on your stroke, but I want you to click None. to get rid of it. Okay? Now let's zoom back out, pressing Alt and rolling the mouse wheel back. That's looking pretty darn good, I think. I mean, patting myself on the back, but I think it looks pretty good. It's missing something, right? It's missing a blade. So zoom out to about this, about like that. All right? And what I want you to do is click on your, let's see, do we want the rounded rectangle? Let's make a rounded rectangle. No, for this one, let's click on just the rectangle. Click once and make this 1 inch wide by, let's say, 25 inches high. Now it actually has taken the same fill from the metal down here. We don't need that, so in the lower left corner of your selection, the color selection here, click on this default fill and stroke. Bam! You will get a white and black object. We're going to position this now down here, but you notice that it's in front of your wonderful lightsaber shaft. What we need to do, or the handle I should say, is move it up to about where you want it. I think about right here, a little lower. Right click, arrange, I'm sorry, hover over arrange, and then go to send to back. Bam. Alright. Now, you may even want to increase the size of that a little bit. I'm going to make this a little bit taller, so it should be maybe a 30. And you can see how it tells you the height right there. So I'm going to go to 30. Come on, 30. That's close enough. I'm not looking for perfection. Now let's back it out. Back it out. Back it out. Now what we want to do is open our stroke panel. The way you do that is click on the panel side over here. I want you to make this a 20. We'll change that 1 point to 20 points. And then go to Align Strokes. I want you to click on the center one that says Align Stroke to Inside. And there you go. Now I've got a black color, so we can't have a black blade. I'd rather not have a black blade, although I believe there are black lightsabers in the Star Wars universe. I would much rather have a purple blade, but I accidentally clicked on it when I had the fill selected, so let's choose none again here. We want the stroke to be selected and choose the purple. Okay, here we go. Now I want to zoom in on the corners here and notice that even with the selection tool it gave it to me. That's great. I'm happy that I didn't realize that would happen. I thought it was only with the direct selection. Any of the selection tools give it to you. Anyway, go ahead and click on this, drag straight down until you get a rounded corner. There we go. Now, that looks pretty fake right there. Well, let's make it look a little more real. Let's add a glow. How we're going to do that is by selecting your lightsaber and go to Effect, Blur. Go to Gaussian Blur. And I think if you click on Preview, I think 30 is pretty good, but I'm going to push that to 40 and see what that looks like. Let's see, we'll actually push it up a little more. Too much. Let's back it down. Back it down. 50. About 50. 48. Right in there. Anywhere. You choose. It's your project. Whatever you think looks good. Clicking OK. Check it out. Okay, there's our lightsaber. Now you can add a glow to it, you can do further things, but this is, at a basic sense, a lightsaber. What I'd like you to do is click and drag around the whole thing, press Control on your keyboard and then G. That is a group command, and there you go. You're done. Fantastic. Now you've learned a bunch of new tools, or at least you've gotten familiar with a bunch of tools in Illustrator, and I hope you've had fun making a lightsaber. One last thing I want to point out is that you notice that, let's turn back on our artboard. Over here, show artboards. You'll notice now that it doesn't fit the page. If you were to save this as a JPEG image, it certainly would not work. Okay? In order for this, what happens is, now, if I want to grab the whole thing and pressing Shift on my keyboard to constrain the width and height, make it a smaller size, let's take a look at it. That's what happens to your to the blade, it kind of makes it too small. So let's Control Z to back up. Let's select ungroup, okay, and now just click on just this part and expand appearance. Object, expand appearance. Now let's grab everything again, Control G, and let's get at the top here. Pressing Shift, let's reduce the size. You'll notice that it stays just as you created it. Alright, we'll put that right in the middle of the page. And everything else, you don't have to worry about the gradient or any of the other items, because they will change. You're not using a stroke at all, so the stroke is what was getting ruined on the blade. It was the stroke, not the fill. Alright, you guys, I hope you had a good time with this project, and I hope you learned something new about Illustrator. If not, watch the video again. I'm sure you'll pick up something you missed. See you soon. This is Mr. Block saying, keep designing.